We're here with Caroline Chang, who has founded and continues to direct our show on Blog Talk Radio. That's
Awake to Oneness.
Awake, the numeral 2, Oneness.
Radio.
It's awaketooneness.com, actually.
Actually, it's awaketoonenessradio.org.
Okay, Awake to Radio, the numeral 2, radio.
Oneness.
I'm going to say Awake to Oneness
Radio.org. Yes.
One more time with feeling.
Okay. So awake, the number 2, Oneness Radio.org.
Well, we understand what radio is, but what's oneness?
Oneness, what oneness is what we are. All there is God.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are all a part of God. Nothing exists outside of God.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if nothing exists outside of God, that means you're a part of God. Right. And I'm a part of God.
Yes.
And this plant, this beautiful flower is a part of God. This table is a part of God. Nothing is outside of God. So I explain oneness, I take it to its core, which all there is God.
Mm-hmm.
And we are all a part of God. So if you think of our body has trillions of cells, okay? And those cells are all connected with the one.
Yes.
And so we can think of ourselves as cells of God.
Like we're all a universe, each one of us.
Yes.
And the universes are all together.
Yes.
Or galaxies, and the galaxies are all together in the universe.
Right. And there's no separation. Now science, the beautiful thing. Now I started studying metaphysics and spirituality off and on since my teens. So we're talking back in the 70s. And it would be, like I said, off and on because life would get in the way. And I actually, when I was a teenager in my 20s and 30s and early 40s, I was having trouble. I loved the concepts I was reading and studying, but I was really having trouble understanding it because society teaches us so differently.
Yes, you must have brought it in a traditional style, say for instance in Christianity and many other religions, you're actually taught separateness.
Exactly.
You're taught the opposite, that we are not one with God, that the Pope or the minister is an intermediary, that there's other authorities, that God comes to us filtered, that sort of thing.
Exactly. I was sent to Catholic school, even though we weren't Catholic. I was baptized Episcopalian when I was 7.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was Baptist. My mom was raised Baptist, but converted to Episcopalian, which is very close to Catholic. I mean, Catholic.
So you had confirmation?
No confirmation because I was baptized in an Episcopalian church, but from kindergarten through 5th grade, I was sent to a Catholic school, and so we had religion.
Yeah, you had plenty of religion. Now,
when
you were baptized, the sacrament of baptism is part of oneness.
Right.
Which must have brought in this, contradiction to you.
Yeah.
Here I'm baptized in the water.
Right. Well, I imagine I'm 4 and 5 years old, and my father was very strict, and said children are to be seen and not heard.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a question, don't ask them. You cannot question an adult. Even at the dinner table, you're supposed to sit there, eat your food. So I had all these thoughts going through my mind in religion, because we had religion every day in school.
Yes.
That was a subject. And the priests or the nuns would be teaching. And I remember, I'll never forget, like 4 or 5 years old, when they taught about Adam and Eve and the tree. And I'm thinking, why did God put the tree there? If he didn't want them to eat from the tree, why put the tree there? But I couldn't, what is this all about? But I couldn't ask.
Right.
So much that I was being taught as a youngster was not resonating with me internally.
That's difficult, because there's a tension between your developing mentality, and actually there's a developing spirituality.
Yes.
It sort of brings me up to, I wanted to talk about this collective entity we call Abraham.
Yes.
Who's channeled through Esther Hicks.
Yes.
And coming from the collective entity, they have basic points.
Yes.
And, you know, they're saying, they talk about the oneness. They talk about all this.
Yes. Well, that's interesting that you should bring up Abraham and Esther Hicks. And that's, I can tell you the exact day I discovered the teachings of Abraham. It was August 9th, 2010. I was having a really bad day. I was just feeling awful.
Yeah.
And I was already awakened to the truth of oneness, and I believe in the law of attraction. So I got on the internet and Googled law of attraction.
Yes.
And I found the teachings of Abraham Hicks. And from that day, I would listen to Abraham. You know, thankfully I work from home. So if I'm not writing or if I'm not teaching a piano lesson, I can listen to something while I'm doing something else. So I listened to Abraham daily for weeks.
You did it because you found something that really resonated with you.
Yes.
Now, they said one of the teachings is that we really have three bodies. We have our physical body, we have a mental body, and we have a spiritual body.
Yes.
That there are really three.
Yes.
You know, almost like the old Trinity, the three in one mystery.
Yes.
We are each one of us. We have a physical aspect, a mental aspect, and a spiritual aspect.
Exactly.
And part of this consistency, as you're 5, your spiritual body was growing, and it was feeling a pinch, like a shoe's too tight or the glasses weren't right.
Right.
It wasn't fitting with what you were being shown, and you didn't have an outlet for questions.
Exactly.
So in you was a secret reservoir of questions, I would imagine.
Yes.
And that became, first of all, you become a seeker.
Yes.
And then secondly, you decide that you really can steer your own path. And that is a fundamental, I say the word fundamental, fundamentalists have all the answers.
Right.
But seekers have all the questions.
Right. Right. Well, as a teenager, I was introduced by a friend, introduced me to the book Think and Grow Rich.
Yes.
By Napoleon Hill.
Which is a very spiritual book.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And that was the first time the whole idea that our thoughts create our reality. That was the first. I was about 15 years old. Yeah. And I was like, what? That was
Are you
so
kidding?
foreign to me.
Get out.
It was
Get out.
so foreign to me.
That's
But
ridiculous.
it intrigued me, but it was foreign to me, and I really could not grasp it.
Right.
And then I got married young at 17, right out of high school, had 2 children, I wanted to prove to my parents, so even though I eloped, actually ran away, eloped, and got married, I was on track for college, and I still went to college and got my degree. So I wanted to prove to them I can have a family and get my degree.
Yeah.
So I did that at a very young age. So, you know, now raising a young family, going to school, taking care of a husband, you know, all of that, life got in the way of spirituality. But then, again, I got back I was separated from my husband in, I think it was 85. We separated, 86 maybe, 86. We separated, and after that separation, I was alone with 2 small children.
Yeah.
I went back to spirituality. But again, it wasn't what really woke me up to the truth of oneness was quantum physics.
Oh my goodness.
When I watched What the Bleep in 2007.
Then you may have found the Tao of Physics and some of the literature about that.
Right.
And brush up your things and see, well, how does science intersect with modern ideas of spirituality?
Well, what it was actually one sentence that I watched the whole What the Bleep, the extended version, every minute of What the Bleep. I was just fascinated. But it was one sentence by Lynn McTaggart. She said, the biggest problem in the world today is the illusion of separateness.
Right.
And I said, something woke up inside of me when she said that. And that's when I realized everything is God. Like I said in the beginning, everything is God and we're all a part of God and nothing. And to me, that's a very simple concept to really grasp. And
It's simple, but it's very, very profound.
Yes.
And you mentioned the word woke. It's interesting
Yes.
that just this past month, the dictionary authorities have now added a meaning to the word woke. If you look in the dictionary, the most modern one, I stay woke, means that my eyes are open.
Yes.
I'm aware. Woke is now has a new meaning because of the popular song "I Stay Woke."
Okay.
The refrain of it.
I'm actually not familiar with the song, but
it's a song, and you hear it now because people talk about staying woke.
Okay. Well, I actually have I say awake.
Yes.
But I have an acronym for awake. Awake means aware. We are. Wait. Okay.
Yeah, you got it.
Aware. We always keep evolving. That's it. Aware, we always keep evolving. So yes, that is that's for awake, because I like awake, because for me, woke is still past tense. Woke is past tense.
Yes, you want to speak for the point of power.
Right.
You want the power in the now.
In the present.
So we speak in present tense.
I am awake.
Yes.
I am awake.
Yes.
So, and I truly woke up. The day when I woke up was in 2000. It was the fall of 2007, and it was What the Bleep, because everything I had been studying off and on for 30 years, metaphysically and spiritually, all came together when I understood the science. And then it blew my mind away.
Yeah.
That science has proven we are all connected.
Absolutely.
Science has proven it without a shadow of a doubt that everything is interdependent and interconnected. There is no separation. There's nowhere you end and I begin.
Yes.
It's all energy and it is all interconnected.
The illusion's very convincing.
Yes.
It's very convincing.
It is. Yes, it is.
You know, to think that these hands merge.
Yes.
They do that. Or that I merge with this table.
Yes.
Or this chair. Or that all this actually has some energy and spirit.
Yes.
And that our things have an energy we imbue them with.
Yes.
There's so much to it. It's a big thing, but it's a very hard leap for people that have the classical mind. So part of what you do, you know, in the, being awake to oneness, the Awake to Oneness radio, returning to that, is you pull in people that will help people find their way.
Yes. Yeah. Well, actually for me, and I say this in my intro every time I do a show, what I want to do is inspire. Because all I can do on the outside, from the outside, is inspire another to go within.
Right.
Because the awakening comes from within. And it was like when I was watching What the Bleep and I heard that something inside of me, and I can't even put it into words, it was something internal. And everything made sense to me. All my questions from that one knowing that we're all one, everything made sense to me.
Right.
And I actually, another time in my childhood, when I was in 7th grade, and we were studying molecules and atoms in 7th grade science class, I'll never forget the science teacher saying, nothing is truly solid.
Yes.
And that stuck with me. I was like, because that was a truth he was sharing.
What is nothing to... Then you learn about... We were just talking about neutrinos the other day.
Right.
And how they're flying through your body and mine as we speak.
Exactly.
And we're totally gassed to them. They're not going to hit one single molecule. We're almost all empty space.
Exactly. And there's nothing true... Like, this seems solid, but there's nothing truly solid.
Right.
And nothing truly touches. Found that out in What the Bleep.
Right.
Nothing truly. It feels like what's touching is the force field.
There's energies.
Right. The energy.
Just like if I can put my hand up and you put your hand up.
Yeah. It's like exactly.
You feel the heat.
Yes. Exactly. And in truth, nothing truly touches another thing. It's just because it's a force. There's that energy field surrounding, and that's
and our fields merge. But there's no touch as we know it.
Exactly.
And what's interesting is in experiments for the scientifically minded is that the observer influences the result. Mm-hmm. Now, we see this in our lives all the time. We think that we're dispassionate, removed observers. Mm-hmm. And we take such effort, in our egos and things to be, I'm just watching this.
Right.
if you're watching it, you're part of it.
Exactly.
Which makes the news difficult for us.
Yes.
Because a lot of us right now in 2017, we're hooked in the news.
Not me.
Not you, by choice.
Yes.
Because you have your own news channel. You've created your own news channel.
From within.
You are from within.
Yes.
You are careful what comes in your ears, what comes in your eyes, what comes in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, all your senses, you guard them.
Well, in truth, this is how this happened. It was 2 weeks after 9/11. When I say I hear spirit within, I don't hear audibly, like I don't channel.
Right.
But I know when my spirit, my higher self is talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
And this was in 2001. So this is before I was awake to the truth of oneness.
Yes.
There was nothing on but news after 9/11.
Right.
Okay. And I was never big on watching news, but there was nothing on but news. And so I had the news on. And within, my higher self, my spirit said, turn off that news and don't ever turn it back on.
Yes.
And I heard that clearly within. When I say not audibly, it was internal.
It was a knowingness.
It was a knowing. And I said to my higher self, I said to spirit, I don't know why you're telling me this, but I'm going to be obedient. I shut off the news and have not turned on news since.
Right.
And didn't really find out until many years later why Spirit told me that. Because the news and truth, all it is trying to do is keep us in a low vibration.
Now, isn't it interesting,
Yes.
though, that you're not missing anything?
Another thing.
And that all your friends and everybody
Yes.
around you, the whole world's conspiring to give you the news, whether you watch it or not. It's there in my face like
Yes,
this. Here's my news. The news is right here.
Yes.
You think I can miss the news?
I
can't miss the news.
can't miss it.
I can't.
Yeah.
This is 2017 and we're in America.
Yes.
So I have to bring up melanin. Melanin.
What's that?
That's the chemical in your skin that makes you the beautiful color you are.
Oh, okay.
See, now I'm
Yeah.
melanin challenged here.
Okay.
You know, I don't have much of that stuff. And
Okay.
you're well supplied, so I'm
Okay.
jealous. See, I'm melanin challenged, and I'm jealous because you have a perfect supply of what a
Yes.
beautiful color.
Yes.
Now, there's the news is telling
Mm-hmm.
us that there's this big divide, this big sundering,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because structures out there, black teenagers are being killed left and right with no consequence. All these terrible things are happening.
Right.
Now, you're reaching out to your listeners. You know who's listening to your shows.
Right. Yes.
Your listeners, they don't have color coming through the
Right.
ether.
Right, exactly. Well, my last name is Chang because I married a Chinese Jamaican.
Yes.
And I kept the name Chang even after I divorced
You
in
ma-
'88.
You married a Chinese Jamaican, right?
Yes.
So you're Caroline
I'm
Chang.
And people, when I started my show, it was just audio. But I guess if you go on my website, there is a picture of me on the website.
Yes.
But if you just listen to my show and you hear the last name, I just met a lady the other day, and she said, I thought you were going to be Chinese. I get that all the time.
Yes.
So when you don't look at me, you don't know what color my skin is. But
Right.
I know in truth, I've lived lives of I've been black, I've been white, I've been Chinese, I've been everything there is.
Right.
I think of color as in this particular life experience, I chose a brown color vehicle.
Right.
That's all it is.
Right.
I mean,
this is
sometimes
Monopoly.
you have a white car.
You chose the thimble,
Yes.
or you chose
Yeah.
a little car.
Yes. Like, I think of a vehicle, because to move around in this reality, we need a vehicle. Our body is a vehicle. And I think of it as no different. I've had cars that are blue. I've had cars that are black. I've had cars, my current car is gold. So I've changed cars. So for me, my skin color is just the color of the vehicle I chose.
That's true.
For this life experience. But I've been every single
you've
one.
been all. In the classic Hindu theology, we've all been each other's major relations. So you've been my mother. I've
Yes.
been your mother.
Yes.
You've been my son. I've been your son.
Exactly.
We've been brothers together.
Yes.
All of that through hundreds and thousands of times
Yes.
around the wheel.
And the beautiful thing too is I can't remember exactly when I learned this, because I always thought of it in linear terms like past lives, future lives, but in truth it's simultaneous. We are living all of our lives.
It's all happening at once.
Now. All there is this now moment.
Yeah.
And every life that we're living in it now. And our power is in this now. Meaning, because people will say, well, what am I doing in that other lifetime? Or am I a bad person or a good person? It's like, none of that matters.
Right.
It's this now moment, because what you're doing in this now moment affects all those other lives.
Yes.
It does. So if you
that's
wake
the contradiction, because to think, we understand that what we do right now affects now.
Yes.
We understand very well that what we do now might affect the future.
Right.
But the idea that we can think a thought, do an action, we can make a cause that has changes reverberating backwards as well as forwards.
Yes.
That we can change the entire history of existence through what we do.
Exactly.
Most people are not willing to, they think that's terribly egotistical, or they're not willing to own up such power. The temptation is when you give a person saying, oh my God, I'm part of God. I'm not separate from anything. Well, that means, me and the greatest wealth, there's no separation.
There is no.
Then they have to say, well, what do I do with such a power? How do I be responsible? Okay, well, let's put another idea. A common spiritual concept is one of submission,
Right.
Meaning the willingness to suspend your own ego and submit your life to a force greater than yourself.
But that's a separation, because you're saying this force is greater than you, and I'm a little me, but you're not. You are a part of this. What you are is God as Dawn.
So
and I'm
the
God
submission,
as
the submission can be internal. In other words,
Yes.
there could be a throne within me, and I bow down in front of the throne, but I am also the throne at the same time.
Well, in truth, I know from religion, they bring the concept of being, God wants us to worship.
Yes.
That doesn't resonate with me.
Yes. You wonder, well, how could I glorify Him?
Right.
I mean, what on earth? I mean,
what does God need? God doesn't need. Why would God need you to bow down to Him? That's man's ego. That's man's egotistical. That's taking God and putting God in man's image.
Yes.
Not but we were made in God's image. God was not made in man's image. But
right.
I see a lot of religious dogma basically has taken God and made him into man's image. Like,
yes.
okay, God's on the throne. I want you to bow down. Okay,
yes. Or God is angry, or God is vengeful,
or jealous,
or all these human emotions that make no sense.
He's like, no, that's not me.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
And yet, without some structure or something there, people would feel an emptiness. I can see what happened, when you saw What the Bleep,
yes.
and when you found the Abraham material.
Yes.
And this is nothing new. There's nothing in that movie,
right.
and there's nothing in the Abraham teachings that you couldn't have found 5,000 years ago.
Exactly.
It's just the truth is a revolving wheel that forever needs to be renewed so the listening of today can hear it.
So true. So true, so true. And we're told, we are told mankind is going through a shift. The earth is right. We are a part of Gaia, Mother
Yes.
Earth, and she's going through a shift in vibration. Her vibration is rising, which automatically everything on the planet is rising in vibration. And I was in the checkout line in Walmart, and I saw on the checkout stand, on the magazine.
Oh, you saw the Newsweek.
Newsweek
saying
mindfulness, and
right,
underneath
on the front cover,
on the big front cover, mindfulness. A lady meditating, and underneath, live in the now.
Yeah, that's.
I was like, and this is mainstream. I'm like, maybe I need to turn back on the news now.
What's going on? I'm checking out at Walmart. Here's Newsweek. And
Yes.
They're saying, okay.
I love seeing that. This is mainstream media telling truth.
Well, a more cynical
yes.
view would say, okay, they just want to sell magazines, and this is a pretty provocative thing to say.
Well, I think mankind. We could take anything. We can look at it from any perspective. And for me, it's high vibration or low vibration.
Yes.
And for me, I'm looking, because I know that mankind is awakening and humanity is going into another shift. This is a knowing.
So if you know this, then it's obviously clear an affirmation of it.
Right, exactly. So I'm looking for signs in the mainstream. And that was like when it just popped, I was like, whoa, I almost bought the magazine. It was like
I saw you commented on that.
Yes.
If we go to A Course in Miracles, in the Course in Miracles, every decision point, every point of choice has two branches, one going towards fear, the other going towards love.
Exactly.
You're always given the choice of fear or love in your every action. Now, that actually is another way of saying what you're saying all along here.
Yes. And actually, fear and love are actually just polar opposites of the same thing.
Yes.
You
Because
know?
it's all connected. It's in the
Yes.
same sea.
Yes. And they're just polar opposites.
Right.
And like you said, those are really the only two emotions. There's a lot, there's anger and other things in between, but
Yes.
it's really, you're coming from a place of love, or you're coming from a place of fear.
Right.
That's how we're motivated, by either love or fear.
Yes, or one of their many variants, one of the many words that can fit into that category called fear or that category called love.
Exactly.
So, speaking of the great deal of fear that's out there in the world right now, you're pointing yourself towards a higher vibration.
Yes.
You're choosing to put out this radio show.
Yes.
You're shining and illuminating people that are thinking these progressive thoughts with the idea of putting positivity into the world.
Right. Yes.
How would your listeners must call up, your viewers must call up and say, well, this sounds really nice, but, okay, where the rubber meets the road, it's time to clean the cat box or whatever it is.
Yes. I speak about when the rubber meets the road a lot, and I also use the term, we believe in oneness on an intellectual level, but when we have a bad hair day, oneness goes out the window. I say that, and that's to me where the rubber meets the road. Like you said, news comes to me. I don't watch it. I've heard someone emailed me when there was some kind of terrorist act going on in Europe a few weeks ago. And I got an email about it. I still don't know the details of it. I just know something went on. And I said, I have just as much compassion for the terrorists as I do for the quote-unquote victims. And I say quote-unquote victim. In truth, there's no villain, and there's no victim.
But those are dangerous things to say.
I know that, but that's where the rubber meets the road. I mean, if you can't just believe in oneness.
Yes, if there's oneness, then there's no them.
There's no two-ness.
Right, there's no them and there's no us.
Right, there's no villain and there's no victim. In oneness, they're the same.
Well, that's a challenge.
Yes, I know, but that's where the rubber meets the road. So when things like that happen, and you can still stay grounded in the truth of knowing that this is an illusion, this is a play of our own creation. Just like watching it on television or in the movie, you can detach from it because you thought, oh, it's just a movie. In truth, we are living a dream of our own creation.
Yes, this is a movie.
This is a movie of our own creation. And we're the actors, we're the directors, we're the producers. We put together the entire script from a higher level, from our highest consciousness, from our higher self that knows all, that knows exactly what's going on in every single life simultaneous life that we're living, knows exactly why we came, why we're living this life. We are our lower consciousness, which is not separate from the higher consciousness, but it just is not aware.
Right.
And so the things that happen in our movie, in our play, and everything that happens for our highest good.
What you're talking about is part of staying woke.
Yes, awake.
This is part of staying awake.
Staying awake.
Staying awake, to
yes.
pay attention.
Yes.
Let's spell one more time the URL of the show.
Yes.
It is awake.
Awake, number two, onenessradio.org. Yes.
Wow.
And you can find the wonderful thing about my show. I've done over 80 shows. They're all on the platform I use for Awake to Oneness Radio is Blog Talk Radio.
Yes.
So that's an audio format. But I also have a video format for each show on my YouTube.
Yes.
So you can watch or
You
listen.
can on YouTube. You would search on Awake to Oneness,
Awake to Oneness
and you'll find
Radio.
your YouTube channel there
Yes.
for the video.
Exactly.
And then there's a podcast they can subscribe to.
Right. No, they don't even have to subscribe. You just go to. There's a link to each show.
Right.
You just go.
That's
Yes.
great. That's great. Well, let's. Is there anything else? Because I want to.
Yeah.
I want to wrap up this conversation.
Sure.
We've covered a lot of things.
It's been wonderful. I love
We've
it.
covered a lot of things.
Yes.
A lot of them provocative.
Yes.
A
Yes,
lot
yes.
of them are a little unusual.
Yes.
And some of them pretty controversial.
Yes. Yes.
People do speak of compassion, but they really don't talk about oneness because. Well, I think of Mother Teresa
Yes.
talking about Jesus in its most unfortunate aspects. You know, seeing the
Right.
washing the feet of the people in Calcutta and all
Right.
that
Yes.
she saw.
Yes.
And she was, though she was absolutely Catholic,
Yes.
she was demonstrating oneness.
Yes. The Pope did that recently.
Yes.
Where I saw a picture of the Pope. He was washing the feet of Muslims.
Right.
I'm not sure where he was, but he was washing.
We saw
washing
that.
their-
We saw
Yes.
that, and
Yes.
that's amazing. And we do
Yes.
see signs that yes, okay, despite despite all appearances, we could be evolving
Yes.
to something higher, something more exciting.
Yes. Yes.
We need something higher because the sea level is rising. We're losing our coastal cities. Global warming is happening.
Yeah.
We better hurry this up.
Yes, yeah. And I think it's speeding up. I'm so excited. We are living in exciting times.
Yeah.
We really are. And what is it, 7.5 billion people on the planet? Every one of us are light workers.
Right.
Whether we know it or not. We are all here at this time, this particular time, for a reason.
Right.
And we are all light workers. There is no, I used to, when I first got awakened and I tried to start study groups at my house and whatnot, I would say like-minded people. I don't use that terminology anymore.
Right.
Because by saying like-minded people,
That's a separation.
that's putting in a separation.
That's a separation.
By saying that I'm a light worker, that's a separation.
Right.
Like I'm different or special. We are all special. We are all divine aspects of God, and each of us are exactly where we're supposed to be. We are exactly where we're supposed to be, and we're doing exactly what we came here to do, whether we know it or not. Yes.
We're spiritual beings having
Yeah.
a human experience.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, thank you so
Yes,
much.
thank
This is great
you.
to have this first conversation. I hope we have more.
Oh, please. I love it. I love
And you've
it.
been listening to Carolyn Chang.
Caroline, sweet, and I can't sing.
No, that's all right. All right. Great.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes.
All right.